What does it really take to push past your limits, to show up for yourself every single day, even when no one is watching? This episode is all about putting yourself in a hard position and fighting the mental battle to continue on with that decision. I can really relate to this topic because I experienced it for myself when I completed the 29029 Everesting Challenge earlier this year. Deciding to make a non-negotiable commitment to take on a physical challenge can really teach us profound lessons about life, business, and everything in between. Today we're diving into what it means to build mental strength, to face our excuses head on, and discover how the hardest challenges can lead to breakthroughs. Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Her Business Podcast. I'm Suzi, and today we're exploring the connection between mental toughness, physical challenges, and the lessons they can bring to your business. Joining me is Jai Harvey-Yin, a member of the Her Business community and the founder of Fabulosity. Now, she recently completed a mental and physical challenge of her own called 75 Hard. In this episode, we're going to unpack how dedication, consistency, and even a little bit of discomfort can shape our mindset and our ability to achieve success in our businesses. And don't worry, this episode is not just about workouts or your daily water intake. It's about showing up for yourself and finding your why. Now, Jay is a mindset and transformational coach for individuals and businesses, and she uses tools such as Reiki, NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming, and timeline therapy to get the breakthroughs that are needed to step fully into a life and a business that her clients love. So let's dive right in. Hey, Jay, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Suzi. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to talk about something you've done recently, which was a big personal challenge. It's something called 75 Hard, H-A-R-D. Can you run us through what on earth that is?
Sure. So I heard about 75 in my peripheral vision probably about 2 years ago. And then a really good friend of mine, Joy, she did it. And I was like, what is this 75 hard thing? And so I investigated. It's kind of macho, actually. But if you get rid of the macho and you look into it, it's designed as a mental toughness challenge. And so there are 6 non-negotiable things that you have to do each day. And if you err, then you go back to day one. So if you're a minute shy of one of your things, back to the start. So there is a Facebook community and a lot of people fail. And they use the word fail, which, can be quite confronting to us high achieving women, a bit soft from time to time. And so the actual thing was created by this man called Andy Frisella. And he just picked randomly 75 out of his head. He has a book. So I read the book, and pretty much the not negotiables of the day are 2 45-minute workouts every day. One of them needs to be outside. They have to be a workout. You can't just do ancillary exercise during your day. It has to be an actual formal form of workout. And so Crazy Jay would be walking in the morning with the dog and doing 38 minutes to get around the lake, and then walking up and down my street to get to my 45 minutes. Otherwise I would fail. So that's kind of crazy. You have to drink a gallon of water a day.
Right, that's almost 4 litres, if not 4.
Yeah. So I did 3 litres just because I have a medical condition that doesn't allow me to drink so much water. And then you stick to a meal plan, no sugar, no alcohol, a photo of yourself every day, which was quite mortifying, and read 10 pages of a non-fiction book. So they're the things that you have to do without fail each day. So cool.
Well, that for 75 days. So that is a huge commitment. And so I want to ask you a few questions about it. How did you plan that? You're a busy woman, you're running a business. How did you plan the 2 workouts, what you were going to eat, I guess checking in with someone and holding to those not negotiables? What did your planning look like?
Absolutely. Because interestingly, when you say you're doing it, you usually get a few reactions. You're mad. What are you doing? Or, who's going to know? who's going to know? And it's really
Interesting.
The who's going to know is that I'm going to know. And I made a commitment to myself, and I know the rules, and so I would see whether or not, it was, if I didn't do it, then I felt like I have to go back to day one. So the first thing that I did was I made 2 a.m. the end of my day, because I'm quite a night owl. So I just made my day go from 2 a.m. to 2 a.m. so that if I was running late in the day, I had enough time to complete my tasks before 2 a.m., which is really kind of handy occasionally. I didn't really plan, actually, which is very unlike me as well. I had been thinking about it in the ether for quite a few months. And then again, Joy, she wanted to do, keep it accountable and do it. She was doing the next phase, which there's more. It doesn't 75 doesn't stop with 75. And so I was like, you know what? And she chose the date. It was the 12th of August. So it was like in the middle of the week. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm doing it. So I think not having all of that, I'm leading myself up to it kind of thing, actually made it a lot easier to commit.
Are there any particular strategies you use to stay consistent, especially when it felt like, this is kind of hard?
Well,
or it's raining outside or whatever.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of, I only had 3 raining walks, which was kind of good. But, and you can flip it up. So like some mornings I went, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym first, and then I'll take my chances on the weather tonight, but I knew that at some point I was probably going to have to walk in the rain, which is not so fun. The other thing I did at my gym, they had an 8-week challenge, because I didn't really know what to do workout wise, because I'm not a gym bunny. Contrary to popular belief, I look like I belong in the gym and all that, but I really didn't know what to choose. So I signed up for that as well. And so she gave me workouts to do. So I just did the workouts as it was, and then I'd just make sure I'd jump on the bike at the end or whatever if I'd finished before the 45.
Yes.
And it was kind of nice, because all the guys at the gym, I go to a 24-hour gym, and all the guys at the gym were like following along, and cheering me, which was kind of nice, and I came second in that challenge, by the way.
Oh, fantastic.
I know. So consistency does pay off. I'd always say that to my clients every single day, it's about being consistent. It's true, because it wasn't sexy turning up every single day, but I did enough, because everything added up to points, and I did enough points to come second. So yay me,
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. With the 75 hard, were there unexpected challenges or difficult points that you didn't actually predict going into it?
Oh, absolutely. My life is a little chaotic. You don't know when clients are going to have drama. I'm a coach, and so I work with clients very closely. And when they're in our container, as I call it, they have access to me. So if there's a drama, I have to drop and deal. And I take that very seriously. And so sometimes things come up, or, going out for dinner, or we had the grand final in the middle of it, and there was this big party, and everybody was drinking, and everybody was, eating the things. And so often I would just coordinate my workout earlier in the day, or a couple of times I said to my partner, you know what, I can't make it at the same time as you. I have to go to the gym. So I'll come afterwards, and I just made sure that I had plenty of water, that it was cold, that I had a bottle, so that I never felt like I was out of it. If I was going to a social thing, I would have my water in a wine glass with ice. So I felt fancy. So then I didn't feel like I was missing out, So there was some of those moments, but I think my cheat was the 2 a.m. because then I could do the last things.
Cram some things in the last bit. Yeah. I'm in my third dream by that time, but we're all different. How did you keep yourself accountable? How did you track your progress?
So initially I thought, oh yeah, yay, I made myself this groovy thing on Canva, this tick off sheet to do all the things. And then I realized that that's not going to work for me. I did do it for about the first 30 days, marking it off, but he has an app, and I just used the app. So it was a good reminder. I tracked all my photos in the app, so I didn't forget, because that's thing. The one thing, the difference between successful people and people that just live life, as I like to put it, when people decide to go the extra mile, it's about the details that matter. And I think that that's the message that I really took home from this. A lot of people fail because they forget to take their picture, and that's like the easiest thing you could possibly do. Bang, done, whereas, and in business, you have to do all of the unsexy, detailed things to get ahead, And so I think the app helped checking, and occasionally I forgot to fill in the app, but did all the things. And then when you go on the app, there's this big red reminder going, are you being honest? Are you about to tap out? Are you, I can't remember it's very macho. And, and I'm like, no, I really, truly did. I did it. Really, I just forgot to do it in the app.
Yeah, I just forgot to fill it in. I get it. So you mentioned already a couple of the things that are your takeaways, but what do you think the most significant changes that you've noticed in yourself since doing it? And that might have happened during as well, but that you're still taking with you now.
I think one of the things that I really loved is I'm sure I have a very fast brain. I like to process things. I'll listen to a podcast while I'm walking. I'll do this while I'm doing that. I'll always try and maximize my time. It's sometimes a little full on even for me, but I listen to my audiobooks on double speed. I read at about 800 words a minute. Everything I do is fast. And I think one of the things with the outdoor walks or exercise is that you weren't allowed to do anything else. So you
really, so no listening to anything, just walking.
So that was really challenging for me because I am so used to doing, like that's nearly an hour. I could listen to a whole podcast, and I was like, but actually in that silence, I'm a meditator, so I do sit in silence, but kind of being forced to do that in the moment, I found really valuable. Lots of ideas, lots of clarity. And I really noticed a difference in my mental health and how much I could really achieve in the day when I started the day early with a walk. I'm not a morning person. So generally, I know I shouldn't say that, subconscious mind, delete. But I would always work back from when I needed to start the day to how many hours sleep, because I tend to go on the other side. I'm a bit more of a night owl. And I noticed that being up and active in the morning was really helpful to me fully. So that's something I've continued on with. And I really, for once, I'm 55 and I never understood the joy of exercise ever. I've been through the gym, I've done all the things, but I never really found that I know why people exercise now moment, and I was like, sometimes I was like, I just need to go to the gym. I'm just going to the gym, because my partner would come along with me a lot of the times because we would go to the gym at night together. But sometimes he didn't want to do it. He walks a lot in his job and he's tired. He does a lot of lifting. And so I would just say, I need to go. And I was just pedaling on the bike for 45 minutes, which was very rare. I usually do my thing, but I just thought, this is the place. So that was really interesting.
I love that. And have you continued with your workouts?
Yes, and I have. Not so much the morning walks. I do the exercise now for the joy of it, and I'm not worried about the 45. The 45 was very stressful because, you'd be like, I really got to do this other thing and I've got 2 more minutes to do, and it seems so ridiculous, but you really are noticing what you notice about the time and how you manage your time and how much is wasted. And interestingly, I did notice that a lot of people make excuses in their lives because I wasn't making an excuse. I had to make it happen. I am preparing for the first phase. I'm planning to start, I think this week. I have some resistance because phase 1 there's 3 more phases. So it's it's a year-long program. And phase 1 is basically all of the things plus 3 not negotiables that they're called critical tasks that you need to do. So it might be something that you need to do in your business every single day that you've been putting off or whatever. And and a 5-minute cold shower. That's my resistance.
That's the resistance. I totally get it.
The rest of it, I'm like, yeah, I'm in, great. But yeah, not the 5 minutes.
Well, keep us posted on how you go. I want to talk about business because you've already given us a couple of parallels. Consistency pays off. Doing something, things can be joyous, and then lean into more of those, not making excuses. What other parallels do you feel tie over from doing a physical mental challenge like 75 Hard and running a successful business?
I think it's got to do with your why. You've known me a long time, and I call myself multi-passionate. I'm a Gemini. I like the brain stuff. I like to do a lot of things. And, in business, we talk about our why, what is pulling us towards, what is compelling us to when in those hard moments. And I kind of thought a bit wishy-washy with my why, because I was like, oh, maybe that's not deep enough. Maybe it's not clever enough, or maybe it's not what everybody else would think about that would pull me forward in business. And I've been in business like a long time now. And you have to connect with your why of doing 75 Hard. And my why was very close to my heart. My daughter's getting married next year in January, and I really want to feel good in my skin. And generally I do, but I had kind of, menopause had come back and hit me on the bum, bit me on the bum a little bit. And I put on some weight, and I was feeling a little older, and, I was feeling a little more vulnerable in my own skin. And my why was that I want to look so good at her wedding. And I'm like, oh, my God, you can't have a why like that because it's so superficial. But actually, it's extremely compelling. Yeah, thank you. But I think that, when you are aiming to be the best you can be, sometimes those superficial things, me personally, I fobbed off. And I'm looking for a deeper, much more connected why of why I'm doing it. And I think that was a big epiphany for me with the 75 Hard, because my why was superficial, but it was also really compelling and important to me. So it got me through those things. And I really felt like I needed to do something that was shocking to my body. And I think in business, it's the same. You need that compelling why, you need the consistency, but you also occasionally need something to rattle the bones, especially when you've been in business for a long time like we have. My business has changed recently, but at the same time, you still need things to shake you up and put you on edge so that you're not complacent. I remember you telling me once when you first did the Her Business Live event, and you had said to me, I hope I'm not speaking out of school, but, you had said that it wasn't your favorite thing to do, presenting. You loved it, but, there was that moment. And I think that's the sort of thing that you continue to stretch and grow by pushing yourself in business out of it. So for me, in my own personal health journey, I needed something to really just shock my body into action that was not negotiable. And I think the 75, they say it takes 21 days to make a new habit, 66 to embed it, whatever the science is. But 75 was just this random figure he picked out of his brain. But actually it's a tough enough challenge to really, when you get there, you're like, wow, that's a really long time, and it sort of becomes second nature, to be honest. So I'm excited.
You can see a big difference in it's 2.5 months of working out regularly, of drinking more water, of having mindfulness habits. There's a big transformation. That's a long enough period, but it's also not too long. You're not doing it for 365 days, so your brain can kind of get around it. And I think that as we think about planning for anything, whether it's personal or business, that's why we use 90-day increments inside of Her Business. It's that it's not so big a chunk that you lose sight of the end goal, but it's not so short that you can't actually get anything done.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. And I agree with blocking time. The more experience and the more I've been in business, I think you have to do that, because otherwise the goal can be so far away that it can never be achievable, so you want little bite-sized bits along the way to keep yourself motivated. But it's interesting in the Facebook group how many people this is a way of life now. And then there are a lot of people that are trying, but I always say to my clients, there's no such word as try. You either do it or you don't.
You don't. Yeah, absolutely. And that goes back to your point about excuses. Now, you mentioned earlier that you have changed your business, and when I met you, you were very much in the beauty industry, for lack of a more specific term, and now you're very much in the self-development area, and you're working with women more on the personal development and spiritual side of things. How, and I feel like your business is now probably more you, and you have a very strong why. That pivot, I mean, that takes a lot of courage. Can you tell us how it feels to now have a business that, as you said to me before we started a recording, you could do all day, every day? How does that feel?
Oh, it feels amazing. And I just wish that there was more time so that I could impact more. Like I do work a lot because I just love it and I go all in. And it's interesting that you use the word courageous, because I don't particularly think I'm courageous, but often when people, have been following me for a while or whatever, they will use the word brave or courageous. And I'm like, oh, am I? I don't know. I'm just doing the thing, because I really have this passion to see women fall in love with themselves again. And again, that seems so superficial, but it's not, because it has that ripple effect. If we feel solid, then all of our connections are more solid. And I've really stepped into that. I stepped away from Fabulosity as a word, as a brand, because I put my hand up and said, yes, I'm going to do coaching. And then I've come back home to Fabulosity, because that's who everyone has their own version of it. And I want you to step into your own Fabulosity, and I think it does, I guess maybe it does take a little bit to be brave and show people who you really are without excuses. I was an expert chameleon for years and years and years. I would just morph into the people, and people would say to me often, oh my God, we're so alike. And I'd be like, are we? I don't really feel it. I was like, actually, maybe that's my superpower. I'm a chameleon, but it's sort of you do disservice to yourself when you can't stand in your own two shoes and your own skin.
I think that is it. That is it. And so maybe you haven't always felt courageous about what you're doing, but other people are seeing it. And whether your goal for doing 75 Hard was to look fabulous for your daughter's wedding, whether you feel like helping women truly express themselves feels a bit superficial, here's the thing, it's not. Anything that you're doing that allows you to express more of who Jay is out there in the world, and to anybody watching and listening, it's the same thing. Like, the more that we can lean into the thing that brings us joy, the more joy and results that we can give. I truly believe that. And it doesn't have to be someone else's point of view. And so inside of her business, when we talk about our vision for our business, and for you, your vision for 75 Hard, it doesn't have to be anyone else's. It doesn't have to be monetary. It doesn't have to be profit. It doesn't have to be, it's whatever you want it to be, because otherwise we're borrowing, like we're being a chameleon, we're borrowing other people's visions and goals. And ultimately, even if we get those, it's not what our heart desires. And so it's not going to step us more into our place of joy. So I'm glad that you did this. I'm so excited about how that's going to even impact Fabulosity and helping women do harder things, be more consistent, not have excuses. I think that will all filter through, and I'm excited for you and what's ahead for you and for your clients.
Thank you. Yeah, when I did it, because people, I got lots of kickback, and I said to people, I asked my clients to do hard things every day. And I have to show them that I can do it too, and that I'm a woman of my word, because it's all about trust, isn't it? Trust in self.
Absolutely.
And other people who take you along the way.
You know that we have a saying at her business, which is do what you love every day. And I'd love to know, what does a day in Jay's life look like when you're doing what you love?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I love varieties. Gemini loves a variety.
Gemini, yes.
And we also like, we're up here in our heads. So I love the work that I do with women. I use timeline therapy, which is amazing. We jump back on the timeline and we get rid of all of these negative emotions. It's so powerful. But because I am the dual Gemini, I like science, and I like the woo. So I blend them together and put them in my language that most people can understand. So, for example, today I have been and had my fabulous hair done. I'm doing a series of masterclasses, which I'm calling my power hours. So I did some content for that, which is really fun. Then I had a drama with the tech. So I sorted the tech out. Then I'm here with you sharing and just love telling stories. Then I'm about to do a breakthrough with a client for 4 hours. And then once I finish that, I've got 2 more little client things to do. And then I'm going to see Pearl Jam. So it's
so good. So good. I love it. That's a day in the life of Jai. Jai, thank you so much for being here. It's been a treat.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Early on in the interview with Jai, she said something I found really interesting. When talking about holding herself accountable, she said she had people saying, "Who's going to know?" And they were asking, who's going to know if she doesn't complete the challenge as it was outlined? And she said, who's going to know? I'm going to know. And I think that speaks a lot to what motivates us and gets us through hard challenges. It's not just about external validation, but the commitment that we make to ourselves. Whether it's a program like 75 Hard, climbing the height of Everest, or tackling day-to-day challenges you face in business, it's about showing up, staying consistent, and proving to yourself that you can do the hard things. Now, if there's one takeaway from today's episode, it's that real transformation happens when you stop making excuses and you start honoring your own commitments, no matter how big or small they are. Now, there is a second takeaway that I want to make sure that you get. And here's the thing, you probably gathered from Jai that she has a passion around sharing her insights and helping women. And so she has a free community that she wants to invite you to join. She also has a weekly newsletter, and we're going to put the details for both of those freebies in the show notes for today. You'll find those show notes at herbusiness.com/285, along with a summary of today's episode and links to other resources. Now, I love doing this show for you. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate if you share the show with your friends. And I want to let you know that your endorsement really, really matters. And so when I get testimonials like this one, it makes a big difference to me. So Christy Smith of Virtual Elves recently commented. So Christy Smith of Virtual Elves recently commented on an episode we did called Don't Blame It on the Algorithm, Create a System for Winning Ads. And it was an interview with member Jane Day. Now, during this episode, I interviewed Jane Day of Webinars, who's an expert in Facebook and Instagram ads, and she walked us through how to set up an ad funnel from start to finish. It's definitely a must-listen episode if you're looking for actionable and tangible strategies. And Christy said that she loved the episode, and she said, I've just engaged Jane to help us do just this. So excited. And I'm so excited. 1, 2 members are working together. 2, women who are growing their businesses are supporting each other to grow each other's businesses. And it's just the sort of love that happens all day, every day inside of the Her Business community. Now, if you're not part of the Her Business network, we only open up a couple of times a year, but you can request an invitation. Should a place become available, we can invite you in. And all you need to do is go to herbusinessnetwork.com to request that. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if, like Christy, you left us a rating or a review. You can do that on Apple Podcasts. That is the big kahuna when it comes to podcasts, and it really helps us grow the listenership of the show. So if you would do that, I would love that, and I would, of course, give you a shout out, you and your business a shout out here on the show. So if you're new to the show, be sure to subscribe wherever you are listening, and join me next time right here on the Her Business podcast. Bye for now.